play this video. This is Malkah. This is a beautiful video. Recently, there was a big event of indigenous peoples. I didn't make it to the event. Sadly, I had a conflict. But Arutz Sheva Israel National News and my friend Yoni Kempinski did cover this event, and they spoke to indigenous folks, First Nations, American Indians. I want to get the nomenclature right here, but the bottom line is they verbalized why they care so much about Israel, why it's important to them. Let's take a look.
Our tribes are Zionist tribes. We are pro-Israel. We love Israel. We support you as the indigenous people, the Jewish people, as the indigenous people of Israel.
You mentioned indigenous, and basically that's one of the things that you're trying to remind people here, the connection between the rights that the Jews have to their land and the rights that Native Americans claim to their lands.
Absolutely. Well, one, we share a very common history. While things have been really bad for Native people, for over 500 years, it's been worse for the Jewish people for thousands. And we are all indigenous to somewhere. And there's only one place that the indigenous people of Judea are indigenous to, the Jewish people, and that's Judea, Israel. So as First Nations people, we see your story as a story of hope.
And a story of healing. You have, through the resilience of your people, been an inspiration. You love life. You have recovered from generations of trauma, and you're an example to our people that we can still embrace and love life and grasp for healing through the trauma and through the problems and the difficulties that life brings.
Now, you yourself have Jewish ancestors, but how do others who don't, but are part of your community, how do they relate to Judaism?
Well, there's a very first contact between my tribe and the Jewish people were the Sephardim that were fleeing Spain in 1492. And they landed on my island in 1493 of Boriken. And many of the Sephardim actually fought with us in the first Indian wars against colonization and against the Spanish. And so as a result, many of us carry the DNA of the Sephardim that came to our lands. And how does that affect us today? One of the things that we're trying to do is to remind people of that legacy of our indigenous ancestors and that connection with the Sephardim who fought with us.
I think it's important to note that Joseph did not know until just a few years ago that he even had Sephardic blood. He's been very pro-Israel for a long time, but it was only when his father passed away that he inherited books from the family, and then ended up finding out that they were B'nai and Usim. And so, but your question about others who don't have Jewish blood, I don't have Jewish blood that I know of, but the community split. There are many people who are pro-Israel, many who don't understand or know a lot about the history of the Middle East, and then there are some who have been duped by the pro-Palestinian narratives of comparing Native people here in the U.S. to the Arabs and the Palestinians in Israel. So unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of lack of education because we have a lot of problems at home ourselves. And so but we can learn from you. And that's why I want our people, to know the beauty of your indigeneity and your resilience through everything.
I love this video, Malkah, right? It's a beautiful video, right? By the way, just one correction about that. That was actually not from the Indigenous Conference. That was actually from IAC, and Yoni Kempinski filmed it. I love that. I love that video. And in that video, there's the tension between the truth, which is that Jewish people are indigenous to the land of Israel and are resettling it, and the tension between what the lady said at the end there, which is that the so-called Palestinian narrative has done an amazing job of painting Israelis and Jews as foreigners in the Middle East, as white colonialist interlopers, as opposed to what we really are, but have managed to market that, especially to young people, and especially through the use of social media, to really brand Israel as an occupier, apartheidist, white colonialist. That has been the greatest media success, the blood libel, the modern blood libel. And she says, listen, within the American Indian or First Nations communities, there's a split, because some of us are like, we identify with the Jews. The Jews have gone back to their lands, and the Spirit and God has given them their lands back, and all that kind of stuff. Like beautiful synergy between those ideas. And the other ones that are like, no, Israel is the white man, a colonialist who's kicked the indigenous Palestinians off the land. And there's a real tension there. There's a real tension there.
That's all over the world, Yishai. That's all over the world. You know, we saw just now in Amsterdam the divide, the tension between the pro-Israel world and the anti-Israel world. And it's not even really the pro-Israel world and the anti-Israel world. It's more like the pro-Jewish world and the anti-Jewish world, or the people of the Bible world versus the anti-people of the Bible world. And so, I'm not particularly plussed. I'm nonplussed by the fact that the First Nations are encountering this divergence of opinion, and may God bless them to see truth and go with God.
But it is a good video, right, Malkah?
Amazing.
It's a great lady.
It's beautiful.
A great couple.
Right, and here in Israel, there's always this duality that on the one hand we see ourselves, or really we understand that our role is to be like spiritual leaders in the world, and yet when you see people from around the world who so adhere themselves to the story of the Jewish people and so believe in it and look to it, you can't help but also be very bolstered and very encouraged and fortified by that spirit and by that encouragement. And it's cyclical. It's our job to bless you out there and to encourage you and to help you. And we also receive from you the encouragement and the strengthening and the sense of backing and friendship that you share with us. So it's a beautiful relationship.
1000%. I like what you're saying very much. It's true.